Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn about rivers, namely the processes and features that occur in the upper course of a river, erosion and transportation processes which lead to the creation and formation of the amazing V-shaped valley and waterfall. So rivers are basically just large drain pipes that take water, or namely precipitation, from the upper course of the river, i.e. the mountains or hills, where it rains much more than in the lowland areas due to relief rainfall, all the way down using gravity or under gravity to the sea. They end up with three courses of the river, three distinct courses where we see three distinct features in the upper course, the middle course and the lower course. In the upper course we see features that we're going to learn about today, the V-shaped valley and the waterfall. In the middle course we see really fascinating features like meanders and oxbow lakes, which we'll do another PowerPoint on for you. And then in the lower course of the river we see estuaries. Now our school is actually on the Mersey estuary, so you can picture that, a large flat expanse of river. So as the river moves from the upper course to the lower course, it operates via the processes of erosion, so it smashes up rocks and wears away rocks and then transports those via the process of transportation, which we'll have a look at in a second. There's four types of erosion: attrition, abrasion, solution and hydraulic action. Now, hydraulic action or hydraulic impact is where the force of the water hits the side or base or bed of the river, causing cracks and rocks to break off. When those rocks have then broken off, the process of abrasion occurs, whereby rocks about the size of your head or bigger scrape along the base and side of the river, causing erosion. They also cause smaller rocks, about sandpaper size, pebble size, which rub against the sides and the base of the bed of the river, and that's known as attrition. And then we have solution, which is the chemical erosion of the sides and the bed of the river by the chemical composition of the water, and this is particularly prevalent in areas of limestone because all water is slightly acidic. So once the rocks have been eroded, they get carried by the river during the process of transportation. So you've got traction, which is where large rocks, maybe the size of a human head, a bit gross, or bigger, are rolled along the base of the river. That takes a lot of energy from the river, and we don't really tend to see traction in the upper course of the river, mostly in the lower course of the river. As you'll know from previous talks about rivers, the rivers get deeper as we move towards the sea, towards the mouth, away from the source. And as the river gets deeper, they have more energy. Saltation is where smaller rocks are sort of bounced along the riverbed. Suspension is where particulates are carried. So if you've ever looked in a river and it looked quite muddy, that's the process of suspension. And then solution is related to solution erosion, whereby particulates of material are carried by the river but dissolved. Onto waterfalls then, one of the most amazing and famous features in geography. So waterfalls then are a feature of river erosion found in the upper course of the river. Waterfalls are a unique feature in so much as they are purely just created by erosion and transportation rather than weathering or human influence. Waterfalls are particularly fascinating because they have to have very specific conditions to form. You have to be in an area where you have hard rock and soft rock overlying each other, known as the cap and base rock. This is then eroded at different rates, leaving step overs and a plunge pool. When you have the plunge pool, the water under gravity flows over the top of the plunge pool, hits the base, creating hydraulic action, which cracks the rock. Big pieces of rock are broke off. Yes, that then is abrasion, and yes, that then creates attrition. And so the plunge pool and the process of the water flowing all continue to contribute to the growth and size of the waterfall. As you can see over time here, that leads to the waterfall actually moving backwards and creating a large gorge. This is not how all gorges are created, only those with waterfalls present. Now, the speed at which it moves back depends on the depth and speed of the river movement, and it depends on the resistance of the rock. The next feature is something known as interlocking spurs, which again occur in the upper course of the river as the river is cutting down, and these occur in areas where you do not have the hard and soft rock on top of each other, but instead next to each other, creating parallel layers of resistance. So you see a zigzag effect of the river as it cuts downstream. Over many, many years, and aligned with weathering, the interlocking spurs form a V-shaped valley with very steep valley sides. Now, this is not to be confused with a U-shaped valley, which is created by glaciation. Have a go at these tasks, guys, and write your answers via email to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts about waterfalls and V-shaped valleys. There are so many waterfalls in England. We have Buckstones Jump, which is a particularly famous one in the Lake District, and I know lots of you have been to places like Falls. When we went to Ambleside this year, we seen the amazing Rosewood waterfalls there. Postman Pat, if any of you watched that, oh, that rhymed. You can see lots of V-shaped valleys in places like Deepdale and the Peak District. Have a go at the questions and speak to you all soon.